Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at Venom the Madness, part 1 of 3, a 3-issue limited series from 1993. Very cool, by Nocenti and Kelley Jones. Can't wait to show it to you. It's a lot of fun. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button and let's get right into it. Okay, so if I didn't tell you this was from 1992, there are some telltale marks that give it away. Not necessarily the art style. It's funny because when I think of Kelley Jones art, I think more of his horror stuff. He's definitely of the kind of like the, you know, influenced by Bernie Wrightson, I would say. And his stuff is always dark and like very cool. And so his style definitely does lend itself well to Venom. I love this cover. Like I said, the hallmarks of an 80s cover. It's embossed, which is the most egregious effect. You know, it's not like a hologram or a holofoil or something like that. Some of them were cool, some of them were not. And I'm kind of okay with the embossed because it kind of reminds me of like an old novel from like the 70s and 80s. Sometimes they'd have cutaways. I wish this was a cutaway and I can't believe it's not. Like I've seen other comic books from the 90s where this may have been a cutaway and you open it and then it's just the Juggernaut underneath, which is cool. This is a great color hold. I love this image of the Juggernaut. I mean, it's kind of evocative of the famous McFarlane cover of Wolverine in the reflection, or Hulk in the reflection of Wolverine's claws, rather. That makes it look so cool. I love the use of the color hold here. Kelley Jones is such a great artist. I guess he's inking this cover himself, which I love seeing that. I love, you know, I see a lot of Bernie Wrightson influence in his art, but like a lot of artists of this era, I guess this is more towards the beginning of his career, but I'm seeing a little bit of like Michael Golden influence there. Some of these lines, like on the fist or the knuckles, I feel like I would see like Art Adams using some of this stuff, and I see it as sort of like prevalent in Michael Golden's work. He was credited for, you know, influencing many an artist. Art Adams and Rob Liefeld and plenty of others, I'm sure. Anyway. Cool splash page. I love this image of Venom. Nocenti writer. I love Nocenti's writing. She was a pretty noteworthy X-Men editor for a long time, guiding them through several years of amazing stories under writer Chris Claremont. I can't control my tripod today, guys. Sorry. Anyway. So, Kelley Jones penciler, John Beatty inker. I love John Beatty's inks. I know him a lot from his work with Mike Zeck, like on The Punisher and the Captain America covers and interiors, perhaps, and annual with Wolverine and whatnot. And like great inker, like just like so slick. And I just love his inks, and he just really knows how to do it right. And he totally does justice to Kelley Jones art. That's a really cool Venom. Tom Smith, colorist, Richard Starking's letterer, Danny Fingereth, longtime Spider editor there. Tom DeFalco, chief, so this is post-Shooter. I don't know why I always like to point that out. I guess Shooter was like such a prevalent force in a lot of the comics that I read throughout the years in my salad days of comic books. But I love this crazy anatomy that Kelley Jones has, and you know, that like that shading and that feathering right there. And major props to John Beatty for, you know, his professional technique and just like his beautiful lines. And like, see, that's like such a Michael Golden sort of application right there. I just love it. And Nocenti is such a great writer. She, you know, after editing, she wrote like Longshot. She created Longshot with Art Adams and introduced Longshot to the Marvel Universe. And then he would eventually become sort of like an X character, hooking up with Dazzler and all that jazz. I haven't seen him in a while. I'm sure he's been around in some annoying fashion or another in the modern X-Men world. But there's so much fun, cool art to look at. I love just like the spotting of blacks. Tom Smith's coloring on this first page was like, having me questioning it a little bit. I do like Tom Smith's coloring. He worked with George Perez for years on the Avengers, and the second time around with Kurt Busiek, mind you. And I do feel like he did color JLA Avengers, so a monumental feat at that. And I really like what he's doing in here too. The colors do seem kind of bright, I guess. I don't know, but I like that. Like, it makes it feel like a superhero comic book to me in a way. And I'm just like really appreciating all the little lines of artistry and just like the inking that goes on. Like, if you're an artist, a penciler, an inker, it's just like there's such a beauty to comic book art that they get this little like shading and these lines and these feathering and stuff. Just like the technique just always blows me away. And I love the use of, you know, several different techniques. Like, I think this is probably a screen tone there, and this is definitely a screen tone, so. And even though this is 92, you know, they're getting more into computer coloring and stuff, but, you know, no digital inking at this point. Probably experimenting a little bit with shooting the art from the pencils, which is really hit or miss, and I think depends on how good the production is and whether you color it underneath and who the penciler themselves are. Like, Gene Colan's pencils are beautiful, reproduced from pencils. I feel like I'm going off on this tangent. I love little things like this. I love this big city shot. It's funny because I guess I didn't realize it at the time because I was so close to it, but I'm seeing such a heavy influence here of, what do you call it, Michael Golden. And here all this time I thought he was such a Bernie Wrightson clone, but it was Michael Golden the whole time. Isn't that crazy? But isn't this story fun? Like without even knowing what's going on, it's just like, you know, this is the early days of Venom, and I mean, I think this is like at the height of his overexposure, perhaps, but still cool nonetheless. I mean, this art is sick. I'm loving it. Like, Kelley Jones is so cool. His Dead Man stuff is like killer. No pun intended. Ha ha ha. But this is great. I love the screens just thrown in there. So cool. Credit to John Beatty, I guess. That is a cool shot of Venom right there. I mean, this is a very menacing Venom. I feel like this is kind of reminding me of the pictures I've seen of Kelley Jones' Bane. I think he did a couple of covers for Batman during that time, and how cool was that? I just love his art. It's just so spooky and creepy, but kind of like that looks like a perfect supervillain right there at the same time. I don't know, I just love that panel. And it's weird too, because it's not even like a major money shot or like the whole, you know, page, but that just goes to show the power of comic books, how you can just create one great, amazing panel within a page of 7 panels. Thank you very much. All right. It's fun. I like it. Sometimes, you know, it almost goes to the cartoonish, or almost like super cartoonish, like almost like Blondie and Dagwood level. But I like that. Like, it's quirky, it's stylistic, and it's comic books. You know what I mean? I feel like comic books are cartoons in a fashion. You know, a lot of comic book artists proudly, I think John Byrne is one of them, proudly calls himself a cartoonist, and I think it's a high praise indeed to be able to do this and just, like, I don't know, like, just be every artist, and one artist is kind of an amazing feat to do with action scenes and quiet scenes and portraits and close-ups and action and acting and backgrounds and blah, blah, blah. And I'm loving all these different screens. I'm thinking this has to be a screen right through here. That is so gorgeous. So cool. I love that. That's a great comic book panel. That is like so classic, and this shows you what you can do with the storytelling art form, how like you're able to use like a freaking panel to tell the story, and just like, it's just so much fun. And I love all the different screens he's using. And the coloring has really been cool consistently throughout, so I'm enjoying this very much. If you guys are Venom fans, or Kelley Jones fans, or just fans of good comics and good comic art, I'm sure, sadly, since this is like the height of the comic exploitation, comic speculators boom, where they were overprinting books, I'm sure this is pretty cheap. So if you ever see it cheap or in the bargain bin, or you just want to add it to your collection, I mean, what a high note to go out on. That's such a great splash page. Like, or not splash page, but, you know, cliffhanger. And I, like, the little Venoms coming off and talking. Oh my God, that is so cool. Like, I would definitely be back for the next issue. I hope I was. Anyway, thanks so much for watching Venom, The Madness, part 1 of 3. Very cool series by Nocenti, Kelley Jones, John Beatty, Tom Smith. Anyway, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Share my content, and I'll bring you some more soon. Thanks, guys.